that until one day, two young schoolboys saw him offloading these giant coral blocks. And they came home very excited saying, "Hey, mommy, we saw the guy." And they asked, "How did he do it?" And the kid said, "Well, he did it with ice cream cones in his hands, 2 ice cream cones." And the parents said, "Naughty children, what are you talking about? You're trying to force us into buying ice cream for dinner, right?" That's not true. When I heard that, I got extremely excited because that is consistent with what I've been finding in Southern Africa. Ice cream cones, cone-shaped tools. And that's why I call it the ice cream cone phenomenon. And this has become a very important part of trying to unravel the ancient mystery, how they did this stuff. They used sound, they levitated stuff, but how did they do it? And I find many of these cone-shaped tools scattered all over Southern Africa, among the ruins, wherever you go. I was up the mountain 2 weeks ago again, walking through areas that I've never been before. Remember, at this stage, I'm the only guy researching this, the whole of Southern Africa. It's like I'm the only guy researching Egypt. That's the equivalent of that. There's one guy in all of Egypt let loose to do, try and get some sanity out of this. And so I feel a little lonely, so come help. So, just to show you that these ice cream cone-shaped tools are everywhere. There are thousands of them. I've just collected a few because after a while you get bored. So, oh, there's another one over there. And then you get to the Rosicrucian Museum in the United States, and guess what I find? These cone-shaped tools on display with Sumerian writing on it, Sumerian cuneiform writing on it, commemorating the building of the temples in Sumer. They were then stored in the walls and hidden in secret chambers in the walls that were retrieved from the secret chambers in the walls. Now they're on display in the United States. Cone-shaped tools commemorating the building of the temples in Sumer. The plot thickens, doesn't it? So let's go back to South Africa, or Southern Africa. The current belief system is that Southern Africa was a sparsely populated part of the world with only a few inhabitants up to about 1,000 years ago. And they tell you about maybe 5,000 people, maximum 10,000 people, hunter-gatherers running around, shooting a buck here, shooting a buck there. Well, they don't do their homework when they put this in our history books, and they insult our intelligence because, unfortunately, the ancient stone ruins of Southern Africa tell us a completely different tale. But they still continue to put in our history books, still today, that these are just cattle kraal for keeping cattle. These amazing stone structures that cover most of Southern Africa, but they didn't know that it covered most of Southern Africa, so they put these ignorant things into our history books. And then we pay lots of money to send our children to university to regurgitate this crap. Right? And it's spectacular. They just make the stuff up, put it in the history book, but because they got to this and got to that, everybody just kisses their butt and nobody questions it. It's really sad, but just to show you what some of these structures look like, I'll go through these rapidly. They are really remarkable structures. The walls are not very high. Sometimes they're the ground. Some places they're 3 meters tall or 2.5 meters high.
But wait a minute.
The most important thing that you need to notice is that each one is completely unique and different. There are not two that are even closely, remotely the same. Each one is completely unique. Now that was a question that wasn't asked until I came along. What you also need to look at is the stuff around the obvious structures, not the structures themselves, because you'll see that there's a lot of stuff around the structures that is hidden by soil. It's not visible to you unless you're up in the air, like you're looking at from this vantage point. Otherwise, you don't even know it's there. You walk through the veld. You have no idea you're walking over ruins, and then when you look at it, you say, "Oh my goodness, I was walking there."
Appreciate that.
And I was walking right through all these ruins and these terraces. I didn't even know it while I was walking there. And this is the awakening that happens. Let me just go back here. Look at this horseshoe-shaped structure here, attached with a circle inside, with a stone right in the middle of it, with these weird two, towers that lead you in there. And this arm of this from the center goes right through the middle of this. There's some weird stuff going on here that we don't understand. Look at all this stuff.
What to do, E-World, if anybody is up in here yet?
There's another horseshoe-shaped.
Oh, there are some people up in here. My bad.
Modern electronics and electricity. It's linked to vibration.
Y'all fast.
The movement of current and so forth.
Anyway,
look at all the stuff in between, covered by soil. You have no idea.
Turn this down a little bit. All right, so let me get back to the task at hand. And this is the little piece of pack I had started on, and I was trying to come up with my way, my technique of how I was going to do my batteries, as far as the nickel strips and you know, copper and all that. There's a lot to it as far as you know, the size of the nickel strips, how wide they are, how thick they are, how many you need to have you know, kind of stacked together to double or triple the amount of current flow. That's the reasoning for the copper sandwich technique, because if you do the nickel copper sandwich, you don't have to use multiple stacks of the nickel. You know, like depending on how thick that nickel strip is, they got 0.1 millimeter, 0.2 millimeter, and each one of the thicknesses can, you know, transfer a certain amount of current. And then how wide they are, some of them are 4 millimeters up to 10 millimeters. It varies. They even have a chart to that you can, you know, look upon and see how much each particular strip current flow. It's just a lot to that, and it's a little more technical than it really needs to be. A lot of it is overkill. Then, in my opinion, you know, I'm sure people are gonna say different, but in my opinion, the copper nickel sandwich technique is overkill. Does it work? Yes, it works. It transfers a whole lot of current, no doubt about that. But honestly, is it necessary? I'm going to say, in my situation, even though I need a lot of current, it's still not even necessary for me. At the end of the day, you know, the nickel copper sandwich thing, it looks great, and I would say it looks better than what it actually is. I mean, there's a whole lot more work involved if you want to do that. It takes an awful long time to do this if you're going to be doing it manually by hand, meaning you got to cut your copper with shears and all. I mean, it's just a long process. Now, if you got the right equipment, you can have a CNC laser cutting machine, and you can have your little copper templates and have them laser cut to precision, all the same size, and of course that would make this process a whole lot easier. I don't have a laser cutting machine, so you know, I don't have that benefit of you know, zipping out a whole bunch of little copper templates quick, fast, in a hurry. So I'm not going to go that route, not on this particular battery anyway. If someday I decide that I'm going to sell batteries, and another thing I'm going to add, if I do sell batteries, you have to have clientele that's willing to pay for that. Because I was talking to a guy who builds batteries as well, and he was giving me some prices on, he didn't have a laser cutter either, so he was sending them off to be cut. And man, you wouldn't believe what places are charging to laser cut these little copper you know, templates out, man. Shoot. Guys don't even want to pay for the batteries as they are. You know, batteries are expensive, just the regular batteries. You know, like my NB power battery over there. If I was to take that battery apart, you would see that most of those batteries like that, they only have one nickel. And that too is going to take a lot of work. Now, the method that I chose in doing this, you're not going to see many people doing it. I have seen few people implement soldering as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down one layer of nickel strip, putting my cells in parallel with the smallest of my nickel strips, which is 0.1 millimeter thick, 5 millimeter wide strip. And of course some people would be crying, oh, that's not enough to carry. I know that's not enough. I said my first layer is going to be that. And what I'm going to do, instead of welding that first layer down, I'm going to solder my nickel strips down. Now I've already done a test run on this, and in my opinion, that is actually going to be a better connection than the actual welding. Because when you weld these nickel strips to the batteries, it's basically, you know, you got those two electrodes and they do a little tack weld. So you have two little tack welds. However many you do, I was doing 4, which is 8 little tack welds on each cell. Alright, that's making a full solid mechanical connection to the cell. Not only that, when that nickel strip lays across there, just the nickel strip itself making connection, you know, because it's flat, making connection with the cell. It's getting a good connection just laying across there. But then you add the tack welds on it for the mechanical connection. But like I said, I'm going to lay a layer of nickel strip down. As you can see, I'm going to be putting flux on it. Flux helps the solder flow and adhere to the cells, so it's going to stick really good. It's not like that solder will be able to pop off. It's going to be really connected pretty well with solder. So, like I said, that's the way I'm going to do it. My first layer is going to be soldered down, and that's going to be the single strips. Then after I do that, I'm going to use this 0.2 millimeter. This is 0.2 millimeter thick double strip. All right. And this type of nickel strip is used to make your series parallel connection, because when you lay that across a group of cells, you're putting all those in parallel. I'm sorry, you're putting all those cells in parallel by connecting it. Then you're putting that row of cells in series with the other row that's next to it. So it's doing two things at once. If you didn't have this, you would have to put down a row, putting them in parallel. You have to put down the other row, and then you would have to put down little cross members on each one. So this makes it nice and easy. This saves a little bit of work. But yeah. So, like I said, one layer of nickel strip soldered down. Then I'm going to come across with this second layer of double strip. I'm going to solder that to that first layer that I already have soldered down. And these strips have, if you see these little gaps in them, like these little track air pockets or whatever you want to call them, slots. Now, I've been able to solder through these nickel strips where it will flow through those little slots down onto the next level of nickel strip and make a nice solid electrical connection because it's soldered, you know. All right, so that's how I did this first one. And then after I soldered that one layer, then I came again with another layer of this on top of that layer, and I tack welded that layer down with the welder. So that's 2 layers of nickel strip soldered down, then the 3rd layer of nickel strip tack welded on top of that. Alright, and the reason why I tack weld the 3rd layer down is because you know, the solder, if you're worrying about how it looks and everything, once you solder those nickel strips down, you know, solder is, even if you solder pretty good, I think I solder pretty well, it's not going to be as pretty as that, obviously, because it's soldered down. So when I lay this 3rd strip over top of it and tack weld it, that covers up all the soldering and everything, and at the same time it's still making an electrical connection. And then I don't have to put multiple welds on top of that, as if I was welding that 1st layer of nickel strip down. I would have to put, like I was putting 4 sets of 2 tack welds on each cell. So yes, that is going to be how I do my batteries. Now, I ain't worrying about how nobody else is doing this and what they do and what they use and all that. So I'm sorry, I don't want to hear all that, to be honest. I'm quite satisfied with the level of current flow I'm going to get from what I just told you. But yeah. But like I said, this copper nickel sandwich thing, I mean, it does look nice, but I ain't got time for all that. Not on this one. Now, like I said, if somebody ever wanted to pay me to do a battery and that's what they wanted, oh, I'd do it for sure. But believe you me, they gonna pay for that work, because that's a lot of work. And if there ain't nobody willing to pay, then I guess I won't have to make none. So it's all good, it's whatever. For the most part, I do this for me anyway. But at some point, you know, I would like to sell batteries in the future. And there's no doubt in my mind that what I just explained to you guys, I feel as though will be a very well made battery. Because even these welds, if a battery is dropped or jolted very hard, even with 4 tack welds of 2, that can actually break loose. Those tack welds can come loose. I mean, will it happen? Yeah, I doubt it. But it's definitely possible if you drop a battery. Now, one thing for sure, when I solder those nickel strips to this battery, they are not coming off. Make no mistake about it. They will be on there for good. And I honestly feel like at the end of the day, it'll be better connectivity. Now, one reason why a lot of guys don't choose to solder cells is because when you're dealing with these cells, period, you do not want them to get hot. So if you're not good at soldering, do not attempt to solder these cells. Now, you really got to be quick in and out with your soldering. Now, I got this big heavy duty soldering iron and it's really hot. But at the same time, it makes it so I can, you know, solder and keep it moving, and I don't have to keep the soldering iron on the cell for extended lengths of time. Now, I even tested that when I was soldering them. I used my thermal gun to see if they were heating up in a way that would be dangerous with me soldering them. And no, they don't even have time to heat up with me just soldering it like I explained. But if you got a solder where you got to leave your iron sitting on that cell for 30 seconds to a minute, I wouldn't advise you to solder your cells. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I decided, like I said, I might do a video or two actually showing me doing the process. But honestly, I want to get this battery done. I want to hurry up and get it in my bike so I can do what I got to do. So I'm doubt very seriously if I'm going to have this complete battery build on camera. In fact, I can pretty much tell you I'm not. So, you know, I explained to you my technique of how I'm going to do it. Whether or not you need to actually see that step by step, I mean, I really don't think you do if I explain to you how I'm doing it. Yeah, like I said, I probably will, like when I get close to the end, possibly I may show like the last couple ones, but ain't no way I'm sitting up here doing all this work on camera. It's going to be a lot of work, and I just don't think it's necessary to film all of that. Okay, now something else I want to talk about as far as batteries go. I've been doing a little battery research, and because no, I am not the most knowledgeable person in the world when it comes to batteries. I'm still learning myself as far as these lithium batteries and these prismatic cells, what I'm getting ready to talk to you guys about. Now, the little bit of research I've been doing, I'm finding out that these prismatic cells, as they call them, are really better cells for what we're doing. Unless I'm reading the wrong information, it appears that these prismatic cells last a lot longer, have longer cycle, you know, as far as the cycle life is a lot longer. Supposedly they can handle more current flow. Like I said, I don't know if any of that is true. I'm just telling you what the research has you know, told me thus far. Now that has me interested in now doing some tests on that, because you know, at the end of the day, I'm going to go with whatever the best tech is. Now, these particular prismatic cells that are in this battery are only rated at 150 amps. However, that's the factory safety rating. And what I've learned is that, you know, all that stuff can be exceeded if you know, you're the type of person that is going to carefully monitor things and, you know, do it in that way. Now, I feel like they always put a rating on a cell as to, you know, make sure it's safe for the average person. Now, that cell, even though they say 150, definitely is probably capable of probably putting out 250, 300 amps. Just like that little MB power battery is not supposed to put out 250 amps. But it can do it. Now, how long would that be safe and all that? That's a whole nother issue. But, you know, I'm definitely going to do some, you know, my own testing on that. Because if you notice these cells, the way they are connected together, they just use these little plates to connect them. And if I wanted to put this battery in another shape or configuration, that would be easy to do. You know, you just remove them from this cabinet and take them out, you know, disconnect them and put them in the shape that you want to put them in. But how they have these, they're running like this. They're in series going like this. up and down and up and down and up and down. So, you know, I'm pretty sure I could fit that pack in my frame in a different shape. But yeah, so that's basically it as far as you know, what I have to say about this battery stuff. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of testing, and I will know a whole lot more about this battery stuff after I build this pack and test it in my bike. Because believe you me, I'm going to put this battery to the test. whatever juice this battery is capable of producing, I'm going to extract every little bit of it. Make no mistake about it. So when it's all said and done, I'll be able to give you guys a real good, you know, explanation or, you know, review of just how good these cells are and, you know, how many amps they can actually produce. Because, like I said, people that are manufacturing batteries, they're always going to put a number on it that's safe because they are liable for whatever, you know, people, there's fires, shit catching on fire and people's houses and stuff burning down. So they're going to make sure that the average person stays in that safe range. But, you know, somebody like me, I'm pushing the boundaries. I'm walking up to the edge. So yeah, I'm going all the way to the edge, and I'm going to look on the other side and see what I see. But that's me. And yeah. Anyway, let me see what I got going on here. Anybody got anything they want to say? What's up, Mr. Carlos? Mr. Metcalf? Mr. Lowdown Brown? Oh, wow, my man, Carlos with the, man, good looking out, bro. I didn't even ask nobody for some donations, but I surely appreciate it. Ain't no question. Don't get it twisted that I don't need no help. Because, man, let me tell you, this stuff gets to be quite expensive. No doubt about it. And, I have spent a lot more money than I ever thought I was going to spend on this stuff. But, I mean, it is what it is. I look at this as an investment. I'm trying to build a business and a brand, so I got to do what I got to do. But, yeah, man, this stuff, it gets to be really expensive. And, you know, the holidays coming up, so I got to put some stuff on hold till after the holidays, because you know, you ain't supposed to be buying yourself stuff at Christmas time. It's supposed to be about you know, doing for other people. So yeah, I gotta slow it down just a little bit. But man, I really appreciate that, Mr. Carlos. I got two. No, that's just you. But I got another Carlos too. But I definitely appreciate that, sir. Let me check on this battery, because I know I'll be running my mouth, and before you know it, the time is almost over with. I got plenty of juice left though. So anyway, I guess I'll do a little bit, show you how I lay down my first little bit of solder on these. Now I had applied some flux in the beginning, but I've been running my mouth so long, look like it done dried up. So yeah, I'm gonna have to hit it off again. But yeah, if you're gonna attempt to solder on these cells, I would definitely use some flux, because you definitely want that solder to flow and melt pretty good and adhere the best it can. And before you even attempt to solder some batteries, please, please do yourself a favor and get a really good and a really hot soldering iron. Now, they got all kinds of soldering irons, and they got them ones with the trigger on it that say they're a lot of watts, crazy watts, 200 and 300 watts. But the thing is, the element that's in them isn't heavy. Now, reason why that's important is because if you got a nice heavy element in your soldering iron, that will hold the heat. So when it heats up and you apply it to something that you're trying to heat up, if it's a little lightweight soldering iron where the element doesn't have any weight to it, the heat is you're gonna extract that heat right out of it quick, fast, in a hurry, and the next thing you know, your solder's not gonna be getting hot. This soldering iron is very heavy. I mean, honestly, that little piece of chunk of steel at the end, the steel, copper, whatever that thing is made out of, it's heavy. If I was to hit somebody on the head with it, I'd bust your head to the white meat with this soldering iron. So, yeah, get yourself a really good heavy-duty soldering iron, and make sure you know how to tin your tip, keep your tip nice and clean, and you'll be alright. Now this soldering iron gets so hot that if it's just sitting over there for a while, it will completely dry itself up as far as solder and everything. So when I start using it again, I gotta put some solder on it. And it's called tinning the tip. That's what they call it. But anyway, so before I even attempt to solder the nickel strips down, I just go and I put a nice little pancake piece of solder on the cells first, you know, and then I might even do the same with the nickel strips. But put some solder on the cells first. You see that? Like I said, you want to do that nice and quick. I can only do that quick because of this iron. If this iron wasn't like it was, I couldn't melt it that fast and keep it moving like that. This setting sun casts a shadow, this rock casts a shadow on this one, and you can tell every day of the year from the summer solstice on this side until the winter solstice on that side when it comes back. So it's still an accurate calendar, and one of the few that I know. I can't think of any others that do this. Calendars, Stone Age calendars. This is a 3D reconstruction that we did. Now I'm sure some scientist from somewhere is going to come along and have some reasoning for why I shouldn't solder these cells, or I shouldn't do it this way. But you know, whatever. You're not going to tell me this is not the best way to make an electrical connection, which is why all circuit boards, the components are soldered. So I don't know what they're going to say, but I'm sure they're going to have something to say. But anyway, it's not going to be the prettiest, but as you can see, I got a little pancake solder on the cells, on the negative side and on the positive post. And that solder is, you know, it's on there. You ain't scraping that off, you ain't popping that off. It's there. Now, like I said, my first layer of nickel strip that I put on there is a thin, light layer. And reason for that is because I want it to absorb the solder nice and fast as opposed to a thick piece of nickel on for that first initial strip would take a lot of heat. I don't want to leave the gun on there that long. So it's a lot easier soldering another piece of nickel to nickel instead of soldering that first piece of nickel straight to the cell. So anyway, now I'm going to even put some flux on this nickel strip with my Q-tip. That's what I'm using, a Q-tip.
We're dealing with something. This patina is known to grow at about 1,000 years per microscopic level.
And actually, I'm going to put it on both sides because I just want the solder to stick to this nickel. I don't care if it's sticking on the top, on the bottom. I want it to stick all over.
And we know that this is not normal archaeology. Look at this beautiful carving of one of the stone structures. So not only
now, when you're working on these batteries, you definitely got to be careful when you got a piece of nickel or anything conductive laying across the top of these cells. Now, the reason why it's not no big deal right now about that laying on there is because the bottom is not connected. None of the cells on the bottom are connected right now. So I can't short out anything. There's no complete circuit when the bottom of these cells don't have anything connected to them. So even if I do that across there, it's not shorting these cells out. But after I do this side, and when I flip this battery over, I'm going to have to be real careful at that point.
You can see the whole Adam's gun is a circular structure, north-south. But the first thing that you notice is that it's not a 12 o'clock. It's not true north. It's slightly left of center. So Jan and I measured, and we found out that there's a 3.
So I normally just try to tack the first one down.
Anti-clockwise. Now that's not possible because we're not dealing with magnetic north. We're dealing with true north. And at first we thought that this had something to do with the precessional wobble. So I spent a lot of months trying.
And then because there's nothing connected on the other side of that cell, I ain't gotta worry about it being straight right now. Because right now this cell can rotate. It can spin. But once I solder it to this last cell, then it ain't no more moving. Wait a minute. I'm gonna have to something else you gotta do too. When you put the solder on the nickel strip, I use this little whatever you want to call this little thing. You gotta hold it down on there. Let me put some solder on there because I didn't really put a lot of solder on it. Alright, well it's still pretty good, but when you heat it up, you might want to go ahead and take this and push it down. Alright, now it's on there. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the length for the whole thing. I just judged it, but now I'll give it a proper length now.
And just to show you this Horrorstone, I discovered that one morning when I went there with another guy, very, very early when I started doing this exploration. And that stone was quite soil, so we couldn't see. I didn't know that it was actually a horse or a bird-shaped stone, but when I moved the soil away from about there, suddenly it was beautiful here and loads of things. It doesn't look like much from here, but there's nothing to stand on. You can photograph, so if I take one step backwards that way, I'll fall off the edge of the cliff. And there you go, it's about 3.5 meters tall. There's a fat belly there that you can't see on this angle.
Alright.
The nose is broken off, so it's probably maybe another foot there that we can extend it. If you lift it up, there you go.
I'm going to need this in all of them.
When I called it Adam's Gun, I had no idea how close to the truth it was. This is where humanity was created according to ancient African culture, where the Anunnaki artificially, genetically created the Adamu, the human species, that we all belong to in various forms and shapes. And then we get to the discovering of the pyramids. The mystery just, gets better and better. Look at that. This is one of the first pictures taken of Johann in 2003 when he started measuring the calendar and finding out these mysteries. One of the best pictures, because I've been there thousands of times and you just don't get good pictures of the pyramidal structures. There's a third one, a little one over there, just sticking its head up. I've been told through various means that there's about 30 meters of sedimentation down there. So we only probably.
And as you can see, I'm moving along at a pretty good pace. I'm not staying on that one cell, trying to solder. It's making connection my first go around, pretty much, except for that first one. But yeah. Now, see that? They are sorted down. Good. Now, is it real pretty? It might not be real pretty, but it's a good, solid connection. And that's all that matters. And trust me, that is better than welding.
You were like, in another province. It was insane, right between the two pyramids. Not only that, but all these ancient cultures.
Now, I probably could save myself a little time if I went ahead and pre-measured this and pre-cut all these little strips. And y'all wouldn't have to be doing this every time. But, you do it how you want to do it. I cut them as I need them.
We can do a beautiful twist on those that want to stick to mainstream science. We can argue the argument of probability, which is one of the most commonly argued arguments in science, isn't it? Probability. So the probability factor that the golden mean spiral accidentally ends between the pyramids is so completely out of field that it has to be left. You're dealing with several million, several billion.
Yeah, I'm into a lot of stuff, guys. I like watching the stuff about ancient megaliths and the ancients and how they build all that stuff they built out of granite, tons and tons of granite, and how they lifted that stuff, and the pyramids. I'm into all of that, man. The Sumerians and the Anunnaki, Nibiru, UFOs, Sasquatch. I like all that shit. And I don't care. There ain't no shame in my game. I'll tell you quick. Yeah, I believe in UFOs. Ain't no, without a doubt. If you think we the only ones in this universe, hey, that's on you. You believe that. Let's see what y'all got going on over here. What's going on, Mr. Blaine? I see the booty girls is up in the chat. Don't nobody buy no booty now. I don't know where them booty girls be coming from.
What are all these stone circles for? Millions and millions of stone structures all connected. Each one is completely unique, different, built with stones and ring-like bells. What's going on here? Archaeological drawings show us that there are no doors and entrances, and some of them are concentric circles, like expansion, amplification chambers, or something to that extent, right? So, are these connectors, these channels actually like wires? Absolutely. So let's go back to what Nikola Tesla said. He said the earth runs like a bell, and it's an inexhaustible source of energy if you know how to use the sound frequency of dial.
I need something to hold these things down sometimes.
But what are we looking at? The shape of Om. This is the shape of sand on a metal plate. That's what you'll find. So what we're looking at here is cymatic patterns from Earth. Each one of these stone circles just simply represents the cymatic frequency or the shape of the sound of Gaia at that particular point. And this is why they're connected. So they created one huge energetic field. There's one example. There's Jenny's photograph, the circle in the middle. The spiders were reflect outwards, the circle in the middle. Spiders were reflect outwards, except these were connected so they could share the energy they suck out of Mother Earth. And but how much energy could these structures create? For this, we got to go to 1944 in Japan, when they were developing the death ray, with which they were going to smite the Allied army. But unfortunately, they got nuked, so they never got to use the death ray. But one of the things that I found out is that at the core of this death ray was a thing that they used called a magnetron, resonant cavity magnetron. Well,
You know, I know it's gonna be some people in this chat that's not gonna like what I'm about to say. But you know, I speak truth, period. And I mean, it is what it is. A lot of people don't like to hear truth sometimes, and hey, that's just what it is. But he was talking about the nuclear missiles and all that just now. I find it funny how, you know, the United States be trying to regulate and tell other countries what they can do and what they can't do, and they can tell other people they can't have nuclear missiles because they might do the wrong thing with them, or you might be a terrorist or whatever. Yeah, we the only ones that done ever dropped a nuclear missile on anybody, or atomic bomb, and then we dropped it on a civilian city, 2 of them. So I don't, you know, this country is hypocritical sometimes. Like I said, I'm sure everybody ain't gonna like that, but it is, you know, truth is truth, man.
I believe this is the Earth splitting or something like that, creating huge amounts of energy, putting it into the giant energy grid that connected all these stones.
Always trying to police something.
And that's really what it was. Everything was linked to the mining of
Can't even police the people right here.
We're dealing with a giant energy and work grid for the extraction and the mining and the processing of gold. And then get to the measuring of these stone structures. And I found a guy who had a very interesting device that he measured without me, and then I came back from America and I heard that he went and measured these. I called him back. I said, I want to go back and do it with you. So I went with him.
I'm sure there will be some patriots that's not gonna like me saying it. It's not like I'm not a patriot, but I mean, I'm a truth teller. I mean, you wrong, you wrong. It don't matter. Hey, it is what it is. All right, so yeah. That's pretty much how I lay down that first strip of nickel. You know, it's down there. Like I said, I'm going to cut this double nickel strip now. And I'm going to lay that roll down on there like that. And I'm going to solder that down as well. Like I said, I'm going to let the solder's going to run through those little slots and everything and connect it to that first layer of nickel. It's also going to solder to the top of the cells as well. And then after I do that, then I will cut another layer of this double strip, and I'll put that on top of there and I'll tack weld it. So we'll have 2 layers of this and 1 layer of the first strip. So we'll have 3 layers all together, and that's going to have to be enough. Ain't no doubt in my mind it's going to be enough. I tell you what, I guarantee you open up one of them light speed batteries or them chai batteries, and it ain't nothing but probably one nickel strip in there. One thick one. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Now, will those companies make custom batteries for somebody? If you say, hey, look, or you go to Powerful Lithium and be like, look, I want a battery, I want 3 layers of nickel and some copper. I'm sure they'll do it for you, but you're going to pay extra for that. But I really would like to, you know, I wish I had it like that, whereas though I could go to all of these companies and just buy a battery that I could bring home and dissect it just to see, you know, how they're building their batteries, if they you know, making them really well, or are they doing just enough. And it's kind of hard to know that, because a lot of the guys that buy those batteries, they're not going to open them, they're not going to crack them open to see what, see what's in them. And then they, the ones that's not going to open them, they don't even know what they're looking for. So I'm very curious. I surely would like to see just what they're doing on the inside. And are they, putting anything extra into them? And I'm going to say I doubt it. Now, I told you guys in the beginning just how much it costs to, have those. Now, if they're doing it themselves, then it's probably not that expensive. You got your own laser cutter. You can cut them little copper things. I mean, sure, copper's not expensive, but subcontracting another company to cut them is very expensive. But then it's not just about that, it's the labor involved, because none of those batteries go through no assembly line where they got robots soldering and tack welding stuff. Those batteries are handmade, so you got some guy sitting down just like I'm doing them right now and putting these batteries together. And that would be a lot of man hours for somebody to be doing all of that. So when you go and try to get somebody to build you a battery, and most people try to get the best price they get, just know that if somebody's making you a battery, they putting some work in. Now, could I just easily throw a battery together with one nickel, one layer of nickel strip and tack weld it with my welder and be done? Sure, I could. I probably could knock a battery out in a couple hours. But if you're going to be doing, a couple steps and layering, that's going to take some time. Now, if anybody's wondering, this is definitely not all of my battery. Now, I told you I'm making a 22S12P. So the way I'm setting this battery up in my bike, or the way it is now, this is only 18 right here. This is 18S 6P. This little pack right here is 4S 6P. And I done messed my battery up because it's not welded on the other side. But anyway, the other part is going to go right here. So it's almost going to be like the shape of my frame. Let me put this back, stick this back together. Until you do both sides, they not gonna hold together. I was going to crazy glue these honeycomb plastic sections, but that takes work as well to sit there and crazy glue them. Once you put these nickel strips on and solder them on both sides, they'll hold together. But like now, all that will lift right up off of there because there's nothing holding it. Now, like up here, it can't lift off because I got the strips down. So just like on this one, I went to pick it up and I don't have it fully connected on both sides, so it will come apart. But anyway, this is going to be the shape of my battery. 18S, 4S, that's going to give me 22S 6P. Then I have to build two more just like this. Well, another one like this and another one like this. And then they're going to go side by side. That's going to give me my 12P. So when it's finished, it's going to be double this. And like I said, that's basically going to be the shape. Now, as I hinted out, I'm also going to add some super caps to my battery. Alright, so I'm going to go one step further. Probably not initially. As soon as I get this battery together, as far as the regular battery, I'm going to throw it in my bike and see what it do. But after that, I'm going to upgrade it some more with some super capacitors. I'm going to integrate some super caps along with this battery. And in these spaces right here, I'm not sure how many I can fit in here at the moment. It's going to depend on what size caps I go with. I don't even have those capacitors yet. I'm just talking about what I'm going to do. But I'm going to add some super capacitors, and I'm also going to add a voltage regulating circuit. Now, voltage regulating circuit is going to be, I'm going to build, I'm not going to say the first battery because I'm sure somebody already has it. Maybe in Teslas or EVs or some other vehicle that has better technology than our e-bikes. Now, as far as our e-bikes are concerned, I don't think there's too many e-bikes that has a hybrid battery system consisting of regular lithium cells and super capacitors and a circuit board with a voltage regulator. Now, like I said, reason for that is I'm going to have the first pack that is going to be sag free. Now, those combinations of those super capacitors along with some transistors and a circuit board and some voltage regulators, this battery is not going to sag. When it says 84.4 volts, it's going to be 84.4 volts. Yes, it will still discharge and the voltage will go down linearly. Can't say it. Linearly, in a linear fashion. But it's never going to be whereas though when there's a high current demand that it's going to pull it down in such that it's going to jump from 84 volts down to 78 volts. You know, it's not going to sag like that. I want to make sure with those super capacitors and that circuit board, the voltage is going to stay at a steady level. And yes, you can do that. Let me see what my time is looking like now. 3%, fellas, 3%. So this thing is about to die in a few seconds. I am not coming back. I'm going to get busy. Because as you can see, running my mouth all that time, really didn't get nothing done, not too much. But when I turn the camera off, I can handle my business. I'll come back later and show you guys when I get further along. But anyway, I appreciate you guys for coming through, hanging out with me. I appreciate the donation that I got. I appreciate the supporters and those who subscribe to my channel. And yeah, man, I thank you guys. I appreciate the non-haters. Because y'all know the haters been coming for me, man. They've been coming for me. Well, I ain't gonna say haters. It's just one. It's just one super hater. And he got a cheering squad. So anyway, it is what it is. Y'all take it easy, take care. Deuces. This is a Crooked Finger Productions. Is there a question I can answer over there real quick? BITI. Man, send me some of them copper. Send me some of them copper templates you got down there, brother. Man. Anyway, you see I'm going old school on my battery build with the solder demonstration. But hey, that's my process. That's what I'm going with. I ain't gonna be able to do the copper sandwich demonstration. I can't afford it.
activating our DNA, and there's plenty
So,
of evidence for
yeah.
that you can go and look at if you still
But alright, y'all. I'm sure this thing about to die on me. So, oh, it's dead.
97% of it. So as our junk DNA gets activated, it creates a feedback mechanism, and we start to have higher thoughts, and our consciousness goes completely quicker. It's a beautiful thing, this thinking, and it's all connected to these crazy people, 280,000 years ago, building stone circles in South Africa. They created us and allowed us to get to this point where we can contemplate our own existence and our own humanness and figure out how we fit into this great, crazy picture. We connect to the morphogenic field and realize that the resonance is the morphogenic, is the substance of the morphogenic field, and plays a very important role in, spooky action at a distance that scientists are still trying to wrap their heads around. How does this all work? And this is where